You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
This episode is brought to you by Palo Alto Networks, the leader in cybersecurity. As AI-driven attacks increase, organizations can't afford to have network security that's stuck in the past. Discover how Palo Alto Networks can help you predict what's coming and proactively secure against it with a zero-trust, AI-powered network security platform built to secure whatever, whenever, wherever. To learn more, visit paloaltonetworks.com/network security platform. When it comes to ensuring your company has top-notch security practices, things can get complicated and time-consuming fast. Now you can assess risk, secure the trust of your customers, and automate compliance for SOC 2, ISO 27001, HIPAA, and more with a single platform, Vanta. Vanta's leading trust management platform helps you continuously monitor compliance alongside reporting and tracking risk. Plus, save time by completing security questionnaires with Vanta AI. Learn why thousands of global companies use Vanta to automate evidence collection, unify risk management, and streamline security reviews. Watch Vanta's on-demand demo at vanta.com/cyber. That's VANTA.com/cyber. The U.S. House votes to enact restrictions on TikTok. HHS launches an investigation into Change Healthcare. An Irish COVID-19 portal puts over 1 million vaccination records at risk. Google distributes $10 million in bug bounty rewards. Nissan Oceana reports a data breach resulting from an Akira ransomware attack. Meta sues a former VP for alleged data theft. eSentire sees Blind Eagle focusing on the manufacturing sector. Clarity outlines threats to healthcare devices. A major provider of yachts is rocked by a cyber incident. In our Threat Vector segment, David Moulton explores the new SEC cybersecurity regulations with legal expert and Unit 42 consultant Jacqueline Wadika. And ransomware victims want their overtime pay. It's Thursday, March 14th, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. In a move reflecting growing concerns over digital privacy and national security, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act. This legislation targets TikTok, the wildly popular social media platform owned by the Chinese company ByteDance, by threatening a ban unless ByteDance divests its ownership. With the bill now awaiting Senate consideration and President Biden indicating readiness to sign it into law, the potential implications for TikTok and its vast American user base are significant. Central to the bill's provisions is the authority it would grant the U.S. president to compel foreign-owned social media applications to either sell their interests to non-adversarial entities or face a ban, should U.S. intelligence deem them a threat. Specifically, TikTok, with its 170 million American users, has been singled out due to concerns over data collection and the potential for disseminating Chinese propaganda. However, privacy advocates argue that TikTok's data practices are not significantly different from those of other social media platforms, and suggest that the real solution lies in enacting a robust data privacy law for the United States. Should the sale not proceed, the consequences for TikTok's availability in the United States could be unprecedented. A ban would directly impact the app's distribution through major platforms like Google's Play Store and Apple's App Store, which have historically complied with U.S. law. This restriction could significantly diminish TikTok's accessibility, but experts like Cooper Quinton from the Electronic Frontier Foundation anticipate that users would quickly seek and find workarounds, potentially leading to a surge in tech-savvy individuals capable of bypassing digital restrictions. The global precedent for such workarounds exists, as seen in countries like India, where TikTok has been banned yet continues to be accessed through various means. These scenarios suggest that a U.S. ban might not effectively curb TikTok's use, but could inadvertently foster a generation more adept at circumventing digital barriers, with all the attendant risks that such endeavors entail, including exposure to malicious software disguised as the banned app. This complex situation underscores the challenges inherent in regulating the digital sphere, where legislative actions aimed at addressing privacy and security concerns must contend with the realities of technology's pervasive influence and the ingenuity of its user base. As the U.S. grapples with these issues, the debate over TikTok highlights broader questions about data privacy, national security, and the future of digital governance. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has announced an investigation into the major ransomware attack on Change Healthcare, which caused widespread disruptions in healthcare services across the country. The Office for Civil Rights is leading the probe to determine if protected health information was compromised and if Change Healthcare and its parent company, United Health Group, complied with HIPAA regulations. The investigation follows significant operational impacts on hospitals, clinics, and pharmacies, with reports of severe financial losses due to halted billing operations. United Health has announced progress in restoring systems, but the attack has highlighted the vulnerability of the healthcare sector to cyber threats, raising concerns about the concentration of healthcare IT services following United Health's acquisition of Change Healthcare. Security researcher Aaron Costello from App Omni discovered a significant data leak in the Irish Health Service executive's COVID-19 vaccination portal, potentially exposing over 1 million vaccination records, including names and vaccination details. The issue, identified in December 2021, stemmed from a configuration error that granted users overly broad access via the Salesforce Health Cloud, also exposing internal HSE documents and staff information. Despite the potential for widespread data access, there is no evidence the exposed information was exploited. In 2023, Google dispersed $10 million in rewards through its bug bounty program to over 600 security researchers across 68 countries for identifying vulnerabilities in its products and services. This payout marked a decrease from the $12 million awarded in 2022. Since the inception of the program in 2010, Google has paid out a total of $59 million to researchers. The largest single reward in 2023 was over $113,000. The tech giant has increasingly focused on securing its Android ecosystem, awarding over $3.4 million for significant vulnerabilities found therein, and raising the maximum reward for critical vulnerabilities to $15,000. New initiatives include adding Wear OS to the bug bounty program and introducing special incentives for finding exploits in Chrome and AI products, although some of these incentives remain unclaimed. Nissan Oceania reported a data breach affecting nearly 100,000 customers due to a December ransomware attack claimed by the Akira operation. The breach involved the exfiltration of personally identifiable information, employment and salary details, and loan transactions. Up to 10% of affected customers also had sensitive government information like Medicare cards, passports, and driver's licenses stolen. The incident impacted customers of Nissan's finance services, including those of Infiniti, Renault, and Mitsubishi. Nissan Oceania is offering a year of free credit monitoring and data protection services to affected customers in Australia and New Zealand, committing to promptly inform individuals about the breach and advising on protection against potential harm, identity theft, scams, or frauds. Some observers have noted the delay, over 100 days, between the attack and Nissan Oceania's acknowledgement. Meta has initiated legal proceedings against Dipinder Singh Khurana, a former vice president at the company, for allegedly misappropriating employee and business contracts before resigning to join an AI startup. Accused of being brazenly disloyal, Khurana reportedly uploaded sensitive documents to his personal cloud storage accounts prior to his departure in June of 2023, after 12 years at Meta. He's also accused of recruiting at least 8 Meta employees. This case surfaces alongside increasing concerns over insider threats, underscored by a similar incident at Google involving ex-employee Linwei Ding, who allegedly stole AI-related intellectual property. Insider risks are ongoing challenges for cybersecurity defenders, particularly with the shift toward remote work and digital collaboration. Blind Eagle, identified as APT C36 since 2018, is a South American threat actor primarily targeting Colombia and neighboring countries. It uses phishing emails to infiltrate systems. Trend Micro reported in 2021 that Blind Eagle deployed various RATs, including NJRAT and Remcos. The eCentire Threat Response Unit recently noticed Blind Eagle focusing on the manufacturing sector, delivering malware via phishing emails with malicious VBS files in RAR and BZ2 archives. These files, once executed, ensure persistence by copying themselves into the startup folder and use obfuscated PowerShell commands to download further malicious payloads. The operation's sophisticated use of encryption and obfuscation techniques, coupled with targeted phishing, highlights the persistent threat posed by Blind Eagle to industries in its focus area. Security firm Clarity reports that 63% of CISA-tracked known exploited vulnerabilities are present in healthcare networks, with 23% of medical devices harboring at least one exploited vulnerability. This cybersecurity risk encompasses a range of devices, from imaging to surgical equipment. The study highlights the challenge posed by legacy devices, which are often retained beyond their cyber-safe lifespans due to traditional replacement schedules not accounting for cybersecurity risks. Connectivity advances in healthcare have enhanced patient care, but also increased vulnerability to cyber attacks. With only 13% of medical devices supporting endpoint protection and 72% connected to the internet, the emphasis shifts to network security strategies like segmentation to protect patient data and device functionality. Additionally, 22% of hospitals have devices that connect guest and internal networks, presenting significant security risks. MarineMax, the world's largest recreational boat and yacht services company, has disclosed in regulatory filings a cybersecurity incident that began Sunday. The attack involved unauthorized third-party access to parts of its information environment. Immediate containment measures were taken, causing some business disruptions, though operations continued. The company has engaged cybersecurity experts and informed law enforcement, but it's unclear if the incident was a ransomware attack or involved data theft. MarineMax reported no sensitive data was compromised, and the incident hasn't materially impacted operations yet. This follows cyber attacks on other boating industry leaders, including Brunswick Corporation, which faced significant financial losses due to a cyber incident last year. Coming up after the break, our Threat Vector host David Moulton explores the new SEC cybersecurity regulations with legal expert and Unit 42 consultant Jacqueline Wadika. Stay with us. In the complex world of enterprise identity, securing legacy web apps at scale can be daunting. Strata Identity makes it simple. With Strata, you can effortlessly integrate non-standard apps with any identity service, like MFA or SSO, with zero coding and zero hassle. Designed by identity architects for identity architects, Strata works with every vendor, standard, and app architecture. This means your apps can now speak modern protocols and integrate seamlessly with your chosen identity services. From securing on-prem web apps to migrating away from outdated identity providers or consolidating them, Strata helps you keep your complex access policies as you modernize your identity infrastructure and get rid of technical debt. Join leading organizations like 3M, Dallas County, and CIBC in securing your apps with Strata. Visit strata.io/cyberwire, share your identity security priorities, and receive a complimentary pair of AirPods Pro. Offer valid for organizations with over 5,000 employees. Connect today at strata.io/cyberwire. David Moulton is host of the Threat Vector podcast right here on the N2K CyberWire network. In this excerpt from a recent episode, David speaks with legal expert and Unit 42 consultant Jacqueline Wadika about the new SEC cybersecurity regulations.
The hardest bar to get into within the multi-state exam is Alaska. They make their score higher than anybody else.
Do you know why that is?
I don't know. The Moose really needs some good lawyers out there. No explanation.
Have you ever seen a moose up close and personal?
Not in real life, no.
And I think
size, bigger, smaller?
Oh, much bigger than a horse. Like a horse is a tiny, tiny little animal. I had read a thing that one of the main predators of a moose is an orca. Moose can dive very deep into water where orcas are swimming around and going like, that looks delicious, and we'll eat a moose. And I thought, you couldn't make it up if you tried. That is so bizarre. Welcome to Unit 42's Threat Vector, where we share unique threat intelligence insights, new threat actor TTPs, and real-world case studies. Unit 42 has a global team of threat intelligence experts, incident responders, and proactive security consultants dedicated to safeguarding our digital world. I'm your host, David Moulton, Director of Thought Leadership for Unit 42. Today, we're digging into the new SEC cyber rules with Jacqueline Wadika, consultant at Palo Alto Networks. Jacqueline is a multilingual legal powerhouse with bar certification in 37 states. As part of Unit 42's cyber risk management team, she specializes in governance, risk, and compliance with a particular emphasis on data privacy. Today, I'm going to share the conversation Jacqueline and I had about the SEC's cyber risk management strategy, governance, and incident disclosure rule that was adopted in December 2023. But first, a disclaimer. The information provided on this podcast is not intended to constitute legal advice. All information presented is for general information purposes only. The information contained may not constitute the most up-to-date legal or interpretive compliance guidance. Contact your own attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular legal matter. Now, let's get into our conversation. Can you give a brief overview of the aims of the new SEC regulations?
Absolutely. So I think to answer what the aim is, right, we have to look at what's the mission of the SEC. What's their goal? Why do they do what they do? And that's to protect investors, to create a fair market. And in order to do that, they have to regulate the playing field. So that means having the same information, consistent and standardized from all registrants. But what's interesting about it is that this isn't new. This isn't the first time they're trying to have that consistent flow of information. I think their aim with these new regulations is making it clear, making it prescriptive as to what companies need to report on. Yeah, I think that's their goal, right? Having that consistent flow of information across all organizations, across all registrants, in order to have that consistency and accurate information.
These new rules went into effect last year, December 15th. What are the tangible impacts the SEC cybersecurity rules have had on public companies?
Absolutely. So taking a step back, we have two main requirements in this rule. We have the reporting side, and then we have the governance risk management side. So on the reporting side, they're really requiring disclosure of material incidents within 4 days of that incident being deemed material, right? So to align with this, companies have had to internally define materiality. We've seen a lot of companies begin doing business impact analysis, really determining what is material for them. And this has kind of been a pain point, right? Because it's just so specific and dependent on the organization's build. We've also seen them creating a team or repurposing a team. A lot of these publicly traded companies have a disclosure committee already. So they'll say, okay, we have our definition of materiality. Now, who's going to actually apply that definition? So they'll have this committee or this team that'll be in charge of determining and applying that definition. So for the reporting aspect of it, those are two main things we've seen. And then on the other hand, we have this governance and risk management, right? And the SEC has told us that they want to know that the board of directors and executives are being informed of risk and how they're managing this risk. So we've seen a lot of establishments of processes and procedures, and most importantly, communication paths, having those escalations really set in stone. And also creating documentation to support this. And another thing the SEC has noted is that they want enough detail so that a reasonable investor can understand how this risk is being managed and mitigated and governed. So if you already have these processes and procedures documented somewhere, you're halfway there. It's an excellent starting point. So between the two, between the reporting and the governance and risk management, we're seeing those proactive assessments, that materiality being defined, the restructuring to make sure we have stakeholders in place to make those timely determinations. And we're seeing that executives and board of directors are starting to ask questions to make sure that they're informed on this topic, because that's the biggest, I think one of the biggest points in this rule is starting that conversation within those executives and the boards.
If you're a listener, what's the most important set of ideas that you want them to take away from this conversation?
I think it's being proactive. Having that approach is going to be the best way of handling these new rules. Whether that be defining materiality, establishing who's actually going to apply that definition when the time comes, configuring your tools, and then, as we mentioned earlier, just testing backups, plans, procedures. It's that proactive approach where it's going to take you far.
As I reflect on our conversation, it's clear that the intersection of cybersecurity and law is not just evolving, it's dynamically reshaping how organizations approach security and compliance. And if this topic is important to you, you should check out our special webinar, The Ransomware Landscape, Threats Driving the SEC Rule and Other Regulations. Scott Becker from Actual Tech host Jacqueline and Unit 42 consultants and experts Steve Dyson, David Ferrone, and Sam Kaplan. I've included a link to the webinar as well. Our executive producer is Michael Heller. Content and production by Shada Azimi, Sheila Drosky, Tanya Wilkins, and Danny Milrad. I edit the show, and Elliot Peltzman is our audio engineer. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, stay secure, stay vigilant. Goodbye for now.
Be sure to check out the Threat Vector podcast wherever you get your podcast episodes. With over 8,000 threat hunters analyzing over 65 trillion signals daily, Microsoft works tirelessly with the federal government to keep our nation's data secure. This 30-plus year partnership is driving mission innovation that is secure by design. Whether optimizing your existing defenses or tackling advanced threats with AI, Microsoft gives you the intelligence and the automation you need to defend at mission scale. Let's work together to stay ahead of emerging threats and secure your mission anywhere. Learn more at aka.ms/fedcyber. That's aka.ms/fedcyber. And finally, employees in the city of Hamilton, Ontario, are increasingly frustrated due to not receiving overtime pay amidst a ransomware attack that has disrupted the city's central services for 2 weeks. Union leaders representing various city workers have voiced their concerns, highlighting the strain on those who have worked additional hours without compensation. The situation has reached a critical point for many, with union representatives stating that the lack of serious response from city officials only adds to the frustration. Plans for a group grievance are underway, and there's talk of refusing overtime work altogether. This standoff not only stresses the immediate financial implications for the workers, but also raises concerns about their personal information security in light of the cyber attack. Despite the city's reassurance that personal data has not been compromised, trust issues persist. The workers' dissatisfaction is a good reminder of the broader impact of a ransomware attack on a city's operational and human resource management, and that management and recovery is as much a people problem as it is a technical one. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. You can email us at cyberwire@n2k.com. N2K Strategic Workforce Intelligence optimizes the value of your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your team while making your team smarter. Learn more at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producers are Jennifer Iben and Brandon Karp. Our executive editor is Peter Kilpie, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Managing the requirements for modern security programs is increasingly challenging and time-consuming. Enter Vanta. Vanta gives you one place to centralize and scale your security program. Quickly assess risk, streamline security reviews, and automate compliance for ISO 27001, SOC 2, and more. You can leverage Vanta's market-leading trust management platform to unify risk management and secure the trust of your customers. Plus, use Vanta AI to save time when completing security questionnaires. CyberWire Daily listeners can get $1,000 off by going to vanta.com/cyber. That's VANTA.com/cyber.